How's it going, everyone? My name is TrueUnderDawg, and today we have a very interesting video. Recently, I had the pleasure of interviewing Perfect Legend, the player who won 3 different EVO championships, but unfortunately is remembered by many for his infamous matches against Sonicfox. However, no video from what I've seen covers the events leading up to that match, or any of the matches that the two played afterwards, and Perfect Legend did a fantastic job shining light on both of those things. So today's interview will be covering both of those situations with a fun introduction at the start to help you learn a bit more about Perfect Legend on a personal level. And since this video is actually made up of 2 separate interviews, there will be moments where the camera changes or my background changes and little things like that. But I did my best to combine them both into one cohesive video. So without any further ado, let's begin. Alright everyone, so today a very special video and a very special guest. Here with me is the one and only Perfect Legend. How you feeling tonight, man?
Hey, thank you for having me, and I'm feeling pretty good.
That's fantastic, and as you know, the pleasure is all mine. Very happy to have you here today. How many EVOs have you won? Just so everyone knows.
3. I know some people kind of get thrown off because they'll say 4-time, but that one of those is from World Cyber Games, which was back in the day. And it's weird to say this because when I came to the scene, World Cyber Games was a big mainstay esports event, and basically what it did, it compensated the entirety of the world. Basically, like all the countries would enter or be entered into, and they all had their own regionals to decide who the best players were in their regions. And then they would fly everyone out to the world final, like, and you will represent your country on a national level. So when I went, I was a part of Team USA, and we overall won the world championship for the countries. Like basically USA that year was the best country of all the countries that signed up and participated.
So earlier you talked about how that one championship was so big that it's confused as a 4th EVO win for you. So with that in mind, on the subject of grand finals, what grand finals set has been the most intense experience for you?
Well, there's definitely 2, because even though I played in 3 there just at that specific tournament, the first one I won it was from losers, and I actually had the flu that weekend. Of course, like now, sanitary wise, it's way against that. But at that time where, we were able to walk around and not have to worry about if someone else was sick, because, we had ways to protect ourselves or whatever. I was sick and I was trying to sweat the flu out, and I was playing like that, and I ended up getting put in losers. But then the next day, the day after the next day, because there was a rest period in between when you had playing grand finals, I felt a little bit better and was able to play and win. But it was more so just trying to fight over that flu. But it was intense because it was versus one of my biggest rivals at the time, DOA Master. And we, at that small time, we had like beef. So it made the set even bigger and more fun and intense. But now we're definitely great friends. It's been, I don't know, maybe 14 or so years since then. But then EVO 2011 in Mortal Kombat. So like, I didn't go into this thinking like, oh, I want to prove that, I'm a great fighting game player or anything. I kind of like gravitated into that. And at that point, I wanted to prove that one EVO win wasn't a fluke, even though I had still was winning tournaments, on and on years afterwards. It's just that they had removed DOA. DOA has not been at EVO as an official event since 2006.
It's a darn shame too.
Yeah, man, the game was, DOA 4 was a really good game.
But on the subject of the more competitive element of this interview, so what Mortal Kombat game is your favorite one to play competitively? So if you had to compete in a tournament, which is like your favorite Mortal Kombat game to play?
I really like playing 9. 9 is really fun.
It's a good choice.
After that, I would say MK3. I haven't played MK3. Well, I'm talking about UMK3 in too many tournaments, but I played it a lot in the arcade, so I got my competitive spark there. Playing like I was 6, 7, 8 years old, but I still played it a lot in the arcade. I was playing it, trying to find MK3 cabinets when it was being released. They would release like revisions and stuff. I was driving around the city trying to find people to play with, and I was using Liu Kang, and that was it. That's all I knew until it came into my home arcade, and I was playing Cabal. But also, I wanted to touch back on the EVO subject.
Sure.
As far as the hardest fight, so 2011 was tough, not only because I was trying to reprove myself to not just me, but also like the community and my friends and whoever. But it was also tough because I did not know the Melina matchup, and I had to play against Devil Jim to advance to my top 8 qualifying match. and I almost lost to his Melina. And then I had to play against Rio's Melina in the grand finals, and he reset me, and I ended up winning. But I had to learn that matchup in the tournament. I had no experience other than one time playing against Wolfcrone in a 1-1 at Power Up that year. But I had no Melina experience leading up to that tournament.
So you had to like learn on the fly. That's intense.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Junior is a great player. I'm not trying to downplay him, but that was an easier win for me because I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew exactly how to play as in Cabal. I had a game plan leading up. I knew my tournament path because they started releasing brackets early and saying like, here, who's you have to play against? But I had a really tough path. I still had to play against Rio to make it to top 16. I was a lot more prepared for that one than I was 2011. But 2011 was the most intense, even though like 2006 went the way that it did as far as like me being sick or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that all makes a lot of sense to me. It does sound very intense having to learn that right then and there, and the rivalry is there, and having to like deal with the reset of the bracket and all that crazy stuff. So if I was to ask you your favorite MK character in each game to play, or at least the main ones that you did play, like earlier you mentioned UMK3 and like your favorite titles, who's your favorite Mortal Kombat character to play in those games?
Yeah, in MK1, I cannot remember which character that I love playing with the most, but I used to play with like all of them. I would rotate between mostly like Liu Kang, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and like Raiden. But then in MK2, I can say I more so had a real main because I remember showing up playing MK2 for the first time in the arcade and for the first time seeing it. And I didn't know who to pick. So I was like, okay, I'll pick Liu Kang. And that's when I discovered Liu Kang is the character that they're going to use and not change that much from game to game. So if a new player gets on the game, they can go straight to them. Because I did the same thing in MK3, but in MK2, I played Melina, Sub-Zero, of course, Liu Kang a lot. I did go through most of the characters, but if I'm playing casuals, that's who I'm going to the most because I just liked how they played. And also, my favorite fatality was Sub-Zero when he would freeze you and constantly freeze you. And in the arcade, you can keep doing it, and it would never like go away until you stopped. And then pulling out the ice ball and throwing it was really fun, or just uppercutting them. And I just really love the sounds from MK2 when you would activate the fatality, like da-da-da. And then MK3, my favorites were Cabal, Sub-Zero, and Lao. My Lao sucked in that game though. I just like playing with him because he's hard. Spin command is forward, down, forward, run. And
oh wow, yeah, the inputs are nutty in those classic games. Like they require so many buttons.
Yes, it's so hard, but it feels so rewarding when you get the hit. And then he has an infinite in that game to do, and that feels rewarding to hit because it's not easy. It's not easy to do, but it's fun. If you go watch Lex, like type in Lex on the Lex UMK3 and watch him play Kung Lao, this is like old school stuff. He's in my opinion was the best looking Kung Lao player I've seen in MK3. And then MK4, I was a Fujin player. I didn't play anyone else. I only played Fujin. In MK4, my Fujin was like so annoying. I made this guy angry in the arcade. He was like a grown man when I was 7 years old. He was yelling at me like, "Oh, you're so cheap," blah blah blah. And then my dad came over and was like, "Why are you yelling at a kid?" And he knocked him out. Like right there.
Oh jeez.
MK4 was fun. That's when Quan Chi would beat you with your leg. And and while you're dying, you're like falling in the pit, and you have to press the start button, or the character falls.
That stuck with me, man. Such a good continue screen. Like that makes you want to throw quarters into the machine. And that's why I get a bit upset whenever someone tries to diss like the classic look of Quan Chi. I get that his new looks are a lot better, but that was like his look in MK4. Yeah. Like that was his design.
That was iconic. He was on the side of the arcade cabinet. That was him.
Yeah, I know. I remember seeing it. I was like, who is this Star Trek looking character? And then I'm like, oh, it's Quan Chi.
We had no idea. It's Quan Chi. Like, cause every game, it was different. Like MK1 to MK2 was kind of like, all right, they're similar, but MK2 has some pizzazz to it. Like it felt like it was its own game, not from the same series. And MK3 at the same thing, because MK3 went from magical sorcerer kung fu thing going on to the sci-fi type of deal with the robots and everything else. Like, you know how in the 90s they had that transition from how movies were going? MK was right there with it. And then MK4 seemed like it was also there too. But then MKDA came out, it flipped the script with the 3D and how that game was really fast. I didn't play it competitively, but I did play it. I play with Kung Lao mostly because I like the way he looks.
So now we've approached the part of the interview that everyone like talks about, unfortunately, and it's that infamous incident. Everyone talks about the first to 10 match, but no one ever mentions how you and Sonicfox went on to play other matches afterwards, which you did.
Yeah, the crazy thing is like me and Sonic have played so much, like not just sets, but of course in tournament too. And before like everything started blowing up, we would play all the time in different games like MK9, Injustice, DOA 5, and honestly, one of my favorite sets that we've had was the me versus Sonic in Injustice 1. I think it was TFC because we were kind of going back and forth. I played Sonic in the TFC the year before that, and then that year too. And no one actually used Batgirl. It's weird to say that for how powerful she was in that game, but you cannot get experience versus that character unless you literally played Sonic or just went and labbed all day. I guess whenever you watch the match, it'll look like I won, but I didn't because at the end, it's like I think she fell out of a combo or a glitch or something, and I couldn't get the convert, and it was very weird. But that was probably my favorite set that we had. But like, yeah, after the first of 10, it wasn't that big of a deal to me because we would normally do that. We would talk trash to each other and then play and then whatever. You just go about our day and then go back to it. But it's just because people jumped on it, they made it bigger than it was. And I didn't expect to beat Sonic at all because first and foremost, I didn't challenge Sonic. Sonic challenged me because I was arguing with some, random troll on Twitter, as everyone does, I'm sure, because they use Twitter, right?
Oh, yeah.
And, the whole argument, you can win with any character that you want in any game. And I was like, no, that's false. And their example to why I was wrong was Sonic won with Katana. Well, if you go back and look at that time, Katana got a lot of buffs leading up to ESL Season 1 finals and EVO. My whole thing is I wasn't trying to knock Sonic and say, oh, well, Sonic wouldn't have won because of this and blah, 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 blah. I was saying, hey, Katana won because she got buffed. That's a big reason. I mean, if you're able to flesh out a bunch of matchups in the game because you can pick this character, it's definitely, a reason for the strategy. Not to say that Sonic needed that. Sonic's been able to win as many Evos as they wanted lately. So, and what, Dragon Ball and MK11 and of course MKX, but that conversation or argument doesn't take away from Sonic. But I guess Sonic felt offended, like I was trying to downplay them. So Sonic's like, all right, let's play first to 10. And at first I was like, no. Then I was like, you know what? I'm going to play because then hopefully NRS sees how strong this character is. Because what we did play, honestly, I was coming off of not too much practice. I wasn't able to play the game. I was in LA literally after Evo. I was in LA filming a show, and that show filming took 2 weeks. So when I came home, I only had a day or two at home to prepare to go to Summer Jam, which is where we were supposed to play at. And I wasn't getting a lot of experience versus Katana at all. Like, weren't too many people playing with her. People I asked that I did know play with her said they couldn't play with me because they just couldn't. So I was like, okay.
That's a very good point, though, that you bring that up, because not only did Katana get some buffs, but the fact that before that she wasn't considered very viable. So you wouldn't have that much matchup knowledge against that character. And that goes for anybody who was fighting Sonicfox when they picked up Katana. They just wouldn't have had the matchup knowledge. So not only was the character stronger, but the matchup knowledge for the opponent is not there. So it's a very good strat to pick up a character when they get some buffs like that. You have like a double threat going on.
She had got buffed like that because not only will Katana players make sure to let you know if the character's not good or not, but they put her in there to deflect how powerful Tanya was, because Tanya at that time, her teleport was invincible. She could jump in the air and it didn't matter what you tried to do.
I made a whole video on it. Like, she had lockdown tournaments, man.
Also, when we were like on Blast show and we were talking about the rule set, I didn't want to fight Katana because I knew Sonic wanted to play Katana. I was like, why are you challenging me to a first to 10 and then picking the matchup that you know wins it? Like, you admitted on the show that the match was 7-3 in Katana's favor. So why would you challenge me and be like, all right, you have to fight me on my terms? Like, what are you challenging me for, to prove what? You're not proving anything other than, yes, Katana was strong. Yeah, you're the world champion. I mean, it doesn't like take anything away. And I'm not saying I was ready for Aaron Black because as much as I knew, I still didn't have that much experience. Like I can't think of too many Aaron Black players or Katana players that weren't Sonic that
That's
I
true.
could just be like, hey, can I get some experience versus whatever? And people don't know at that time we didn't have rollback. If you didn't have a good connection versus somebody, you're not getting that good experience. So uh actually after that summer jam, I went to Yomi in Atlanta to get experience, and then went to that's when ESL season 2 started. But that's why I went there to basically practice for that too. But then again, the tournament was still online, but I had more of a grasp for the flow of the game than before. Even though, I mean, getting into ESL, you have to be able to place or win weeks or something. I did win like a couple of weeks, which back then would be seen as like, well, the same majors that we have now. We have, the online pro competition where they have week, through 1 through 8 or 7 or something. So it's the same thing going on. Which is also where I want to touch on that certain players are saying that like, oh, they don't want to compete in the online stuff because it's online. But those same players were competing in the online stuff when we didn't have rollback and the internet infrastructure wasn't that good. But there was more money then. It's just that it is not as much money now, but there's more players and a lot of people know how to play the game. I just think, I don't know, it's kind of hypocritical to say that because in a different era you can play, but there's no difference other than the game itself.
So a lot of people think that between you and Sonicfox, the story just ends at that 13-0. But you played matches afterward, didn't you? That no one talks about.
Yeah, we played several times actually. We've played offline in ESL, like mostly casuals. We don't play in tournament that often since MKX actually. We may have played once in MK11, and it was when Cassie was super strong and had 0 frame on block forward, which was weird. And then they nerfed her literally the weekend after Evo. So I'm like, what does that say? That they knew that she was too strong? But we've played MKX casuals at ESL season 3. We played online several times, either in sweat sets, if you want to call them that. The results are either I win or they win, and it's not really, like I said, it's never been that big of a deal. Like I didn't make a big deal like, oh yeah, look, I upload the set, but then I realized no one even cared. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, and that was recorded. We were literally getting warmed up for ESL a few of those times. And then in MKXL, I remember playing Sonic Sector for like a pretty long set in the Molina. I'm not sure why they were playing Molina at that time, but it's always been fun competitive sets between us. And I don't know, I think the trolls do way too much to cause disruption, because then either I might feed into it or they might feed into it. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't have nothing against Sonic. Of course, though, I would love to play again. I don't get why no one ever talks about that. They never say, hey, when y'all going to play again? There's never that. But we play like several times, but it's never been like, all right, this is an exhibition or whatever again. Like, I'm really just trying to wait. I care more about tournament than anything. So, like, when people are like, oh, do you care? No, I care about the tournament. If anything, like, you can bring up our tournament results, but I've only beaten Sonic in MK9, but Sonic's beat me in Injustice 2 and MKX and MK11. But I'm not Injustice 2, Injustice 1. But I feel like our best match that we've ever had was in Injustice 1 at TFC, because it was a great back and forth, very, very close match to the last pixel, basically, Batman versus Batgirl. And I felt like Injustice 1 is one of the most entertaining games that NRS has in general, period. And there's a lot you can take from that match just from watching it. We still play. We played at ESL season 3 as well, offline. We didn't play in tournament anymore. And when XL came out, which I felt like with how Lao got buffed and how they changed Katana, they never nerfed Katana, but they definitely adjusted her to where she wasn't so overbearing anymore. And that was really my goal in going into it, because I never thought I was going to win. I was like, this match is too hard. Not only is this a legacy bad matchup for Kung Lao, but in this version of the game is really bad. And MKXL final version, I don't mind that matchup. Lao versus Katana is so fine because now he has faster buttons and he has better buttons to maintain pressure. The biggest factor in that matchup, though, at that point, Kung Lao's 112124 string, the one he did to build meter and then do EX hat spin, she was the only character at that time who could block the start of the string and then hold back and release block to move out the way of the rest of the string and get a whiff punish. That's one thing I didn't know. It dawned on me because when I got to Summer Jam, as soon as I got there, they were like, "Hey, y'all should play right now." Like that Friday night, the tournament ain't started or nothing. They were trying to get me play that night, and I was like, "Dude, I literally just got here on the flight. We can play when we're supposed to play." But we were supposed to play at an earlier time. They had us play at midnight after the tournament was basically over. So yeah, I still showed up and entered like DOA. I think I entered Street Fighter and I also entered MK. And they schedule all my games to run at the same time at 8 o'clock. So at 8 o'clock, I had to play Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and DOA at the same time. So I was running back between rooms and stuff. And I lost in Mortal Kombat to Kevo, the Man, and Katana Prime. Guess who they used on me? Katana. Well,
Katana Prime, it's fair enough.
Yeah, right. So I knew I was going to lose. It wasn't that big of a deal to me. I was just like, well, hey, we play all the time, and one of us loses, one of us wins all the time. Like, I got my run back on Sonic and MK9, and a lot of people put out this stat, and they're like, oh, there's very few people on the list that have beaten Sonic in losers or in winners and beaten them in losers, but I'm on that list too because I put Sonic in losers from a winners bracket in my pool and then won in the grand finals as well. I'm just saying, like.
So out of those matches though, the rematches that you had after the infamous set with Sonicfox, which of those matches stands out the most to you and which was the most memorable and why?
To be honest, none of them really stand out to me. I don't take the matches that serious. Like, I'm like, we're just playing. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah.
Like, even when I've known Sonic for too long. I mean, I'm not going to say we're best friends or anything right now, but I've known Sonic for a while, you know? So it's like, regardless, I always wish him the best. We play, whatever.
That's how it should be, I think, too. That's how it really should be. There shouldn't be this ridiculous amount of beef. The FGC has a lot of these weird, like, rivalries are fun. And, like, the polite beef and just, like, fun beef, that's its own thing. But I have noticed that some people in the FGC really can't stand each other. I'm not saying you and Sonicfox. I'm just saying, like, there's some really crazy beef out there. Instead of just, like, enjoying the game and, like, enjoying the fact that we all enjoy the game and just have fun playing it at a high level. That should be what it is, I think.
Yeah, I think once the game is over and stuff, it should be easy to go back to just being normal. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. But I mean, look what happened with like even real fights like Conor McGregor and Mayweather. Like they're seen together just chilling after this big match. So I have a question now for you.
Yeah.
So with a game like, for example, Smash Bros, they had the whole four gods thing. Who would you consider the strongest players right now for Mortal Kombat 11?
Kombat is number one on my list. Because now I've seen and played against him in like offline, and also in the most stacked events, he's either won or placed high. And especially online, he's won in most of them, especially the first year and this year as well, and last year. Because the Pro Comp won the first Pro Comp. There was this invitational tournament Prince Panther had. I believe he won that East tournament as well last year online. He won that too. He's just mad consistent.
It's crazy to me how some players are just built different and don't mind playing online all the time and can just grind. Because then you have some players like Dragon who are just like, I don't like playing online tournaments. I just don't. That's why you don't see me at a lot of them. And now, like, Dragon's really hyped that there's going to be an offline tournament happening kind of soon that they can finally go to and compete in. But yeah, Kombat definitely, I think, is for sure a contender. Who else do you think?
Ninja Killa, of course. I mean, I feel like that's a given. Ninja Killa has been mad consistent and really shows how beautiful the game can look, especially with the characters he uses.
Yeah.
I would put Rewind up there too. I mean, it's and Sonic obviously is up there. I don't feel like I needed to mention Sonic, but it's clear as far as the top four, that would be right there for me.
Yeah, it is interesting how you mentioned too, like Ninja Killa makes the game look pretty because I think he's almost like a spokesperson for the game's mechanics.
Yeah.
Because I don't see anybody else use the core mechanics as often as Ninja Killa does.
Yeah.
He makes flawless blocks seem like one of the most important mechanics in the game.
And it is,
like, what's that? You're jumping in, poof. I know it is, but like you don't see many players utilize it as much as Ninja Killa does. So I want to take this moment to thank you for your time, Mr. Perfect Legend. It was a fantastic interview, and I appreciate all your insight into the fighting game scene because, like I mentioned, you've been doing it for much longer than me. I really am a new kid on the block in a lot of ways, and I also hope this video can reach some people and they learn about some of the aftermath that happened after your match with Sonicfox and all the stuff that came afterwards, and also they know a bit more about you too. So I think overall, very informative and fun video.
Thank you so much for having me, and it was cool to talk about everything. I mean, hit me up any other time you want to talk about more stuff, and we can do this again sometime, and hopefully we can get some games in we still ain't played yet.
Oh man, I mean, if you want a punching bag, I volunteer, but I'm not going to be able to help you grow very much as a player, but I could definitely learn a lot from playing with you, so I agree.
We can do towers.
Oh yeah, sure, co-op towers, absolutely. Yeah, that could help. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.